Hey there, treasure hunting fans. Your pal Big D here again with a Star Trek Discovery update for episode 7. The title of this episode, and I have to read this because I don't speak Latin. The title of the episode was Si Vis Pacem Para Bellum. Yeah, I know I butchered that all the way around. I do apologize for that, but again, I don't speak Latin. The translation for that, though, is if you want peace, prepare for war. And that was very prominent in this episode. A very different episode than we've seen so far because guess what? We went on a planet. We beamed down to a planet. I have to say this episode felt very much like a Next Generation or a Voyager episode. And ironically enough, the person who actually wrote this episode was a lady who actually wrote 9 Star Trek Voyager novels. And she has a 10th one apparently coming out really soon. So she actually knew the product pretty well, so it was pretty amazing. I sensed I felt like I was watching, like I said, a Next Generation or Voyager episode. The way this all played out, being that this was a very different episode than the rest of the episodes, because although there is conflict in this episode, this episode was really kind of branching out and learning more about the characters of the show. So essentially what happens is the episode opens up with an epic battle. I'm not kidding you. The battle was epic. I loved it. Epic battle. Really cool to watch it going on. But once that's over with, we find out that Lieutenant Tyler, Michael Burnham, and Saru are on a planet called Pavo, because they're trying. Apparently, from this planet has the ability to be able to detect the Klingon cloaking device. Now that most of these ships in the Klingon Empire have cloaking devices now, which we know has always been a problem for the Federation throughout Star Trek history. The cloaking device has always been one of those thorns in the Federation's side, because they signed an agreement later on that said that they would Klingons got to have it, but we didn't get to have it, and the Romulans have it. So it's very interesting to see this planet apparently has this ability to be able to detect be able to see through their cloaking shield. So I think by using radio waves is what my understanding of it was. So the three of them go down to this planet. Well, there's these creatures that live on the planet. They're very spore-like themselves, almost like the spore drive. And they establish communication with them, and they really begin to like First Officer Saru. And over the course of the episode, these creatures give Saru the ability not to fear. Now, his race of alien is a race bred on fear. They're constantly afraid. From the time they're born throughout they grow up, they're always afraid. They're always terrified and scared of everything. That's why they can run fast. That's why they got that ganglion come out of their head when they sense fear, stuff like that, because they're a race built on fear. So these creatures gave Saru for a moment the ability not to fear. For once in his life, not to fear what's going on, what's going to happen, how things are going to happen. He could just be himself, which turned him into kind of a bad guy and kind of a you-know-what. He decided that they were going to stay on the planet because the creatures wanted to stay on the planet. So he tried to convince Burnham and Lieutenant Tyler that that's what's going to happen. He destroyed their communicator, wasn't going to allow them to come and talk to the ship. So essentially, the two of them had to go behind Saru's back to be able to make this mission happen. But it was a very good character study episode because you got to learn a lot more about Saru, especially at the end of the episode when he finally came to his senses when he was in sickbay and realized what he had done, and realized a lot of what he'd done was very similar to what Burnham had done in the first 2 episodes of the series, which is make decisions that at the time felt right, but ended up backfiring on you. And he really did that because he really felt that these creatures were giving him the sense that he wanted. He wanted to stay there, but he couldn't stay there, but he didn't get it. So, and during the course of that episode, he beat up Lieutenant Tyler and Michael Burnham and lied to him and betrayed them and everything else. So he kind of tasted his own mess and what he felt Burnham had done to him earlier. So it was very different to see him. He's been on his high horse throughout the whole series so far. In this episode, he had to be very humble because of this. So it was really good to see that. And we also got to see the Lieutenant Tyler and Michael Burnham's relationship start to blossom a little bit. We're seeing them kind of feeling each other out and see what's going on and sharing their feelings a little bit. So that's really cool to see, especially for somebody who's so Vulcan and so stoic. And then essentially the episode is them trying to get this to go on. Meanwhile, a subplot is you got a subplot with I think it's Dinas is her name, the female Klingon, and Admiral Cornwell. The Klingons have Admiral Cornwell since the episode with Sarek, and so they've been trying to interview. That's a funny word. They've been trying to interrogate her, and they haven't been getting much information. So this Klingon woman decided she was going to go in there and try to do that because she's playing some game. I'm not really sure because I know she's connected to the person who took over for Takuvma when he died. And they left him on the Shinzo, sitting out in space with no power, just kind of floating out there. And she said to him that she's going to do what it takes to help him out. But then she's been playing this game with Cole, who's the main commander of this Klingon Empire now, and she's playing this game. So essentially, she says, "Let me interrogate Admiral Cornwell." She does, but then when she goes in to talk to Admiral Cornwell, she lets her know that she wants to defect, that she wants to leave the Klingon Empire. So she helps Cornwell escape, but during the escape, Cole finds them. So the two women end up having a fight, and it looked like Danaeus actually killed Admiral Cornwell because they beat each other for a while. Then she took her and threw up against this panel, and the whole thing electrocuted, stuff like that. It looked like she was dead. And then you see Danaeus drag Admiral Cornwell off and go into what I think was a transporter room, was some sort of room, and then all of Danaeus's entourage are all dead. Cole killed them all. So then she swears vengeance, but Admiral Cornwell's still laying on the ground. They did say later on she escaped, so I'm assuming she escaped, but we never really saw it. But then she swears vengeance on them. But then again, she goes to Cole and says, "Look what I did." And then she swears her allegiance to him, for which then he decides to go ahead and accept it. But then he arrests her because she did something wrong. So I got really confused. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. And I hope they explain that a little bit more in the episode next week. But the big reveal was at the end of the episode, this planet with these spore creatures decided to call the Klingons, bring them in to try to foster peace between the Federation and the Klingon Empire. And that's where we're left off, is the Discovery sitting there above this planet. Next thing you know, they detect a Klingon battlecruiser coming in. So next week is the mid-season finale, which will be episode 8. It won't be back again until January. So we'll definitely be doing a review for that. But that's essentially the episode. It was a really good character study episode. It was good to see them get off the ship, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is the first time they've been off the ship in this show. So that was really cool to see. Another great episode, well written, very good dialogue in the episode. Really, really well acted. I do believe that some of these people, just really pulled out their acting chops. And I forgot to mention one thing. Lieutenant Stamets, he finally admitted to Cadet Tilly that he is having problems with the spore drive, and things are starting to get jumbled up in his head, and he's starting to have a lot of problems. And one of my most favorite one of my favorite moments in that episode was the fact that she's like, "Well, can't you tell the doctor?" Well, he's married to the doctor, and he's like, "Well, I'm essentially damned if he does, damned if he doesn't," because if he tells the doctor and the doctor reports it, they take Stamets off to some weird planet where the Federation can just sit there and work on him and tinker on him and figure out how he works. Or if he tells his husband and he doesn't say anything, then not only is the chief medical officer risking his career, but also the same he's going to have to Stamets anyway. So he's kind of damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. So he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. He doesn't want to hurt his relationship and hurt the person he loves. So he's kind of stuck. He kind of has to keep this to himself, except for Tilly. He actually said something to Tilly. So it'd be interesting to see where that goes as well. But, again, great episode. You should definitely check it out. If you haven't watched Star Trek Discovery yet, you really need to watch it. I guarantee you will enjoy it. Like I said, next week is the mid-season finale. And after that, we'll be going on hiatus for Discovery reviews until January. To keep you updated on a few things. Sorry I didn't post any other videos last week other than this episode 6 review. Been a little busy. We'll be getting another episode out later this week. Not really a new release, because I did pick up only one movie this week, but maybe a recap of some of the things I've picked up recently so you can kind of see what I got. Other than that, hope you guys all have a wonderful day and great weekend. Thanksgiving's coming up, and I know some people like me are excited. Until then, always remember to take care and live long and prosper. Oh, also, I almost forgot this. If you like this episode, please click the like button down below. If you want to see more videos from Big D, please click the subscribe button. And again, live long and prosper.